speak your name like breathing air, a reflex built from years of answered prayer. But somewhere in the breaking of my days, the words dried up and faith began to fray. I watched the thing I loved the most collapse, and waited for your voice to fill the gaps. But silence stretched so wide I couldn't see if you were ever really there for me. I stopped reciting all the things I knew. The promises felt hollow and untrue. The church felt cold, the worship felt like noise. I couldn't find you in the practiced voice. So I went quiet, let the fire die. Stopped reaching for a God I couldn't find. I didn't walk away in rage or pride. I simply ran completely dry inside. But empty doesn't mean abandoned, Lord, and silence doesn't mean you turned away. For somewhere underneath my faithless floor, your hands were holding what I couldn't say. I stopped believing, lost the words to pray. I stopped the fighting, let my fire fade away. I had no faith left, nothing left to give, no reason left to call on you or live. But you held me when I couldn't hold to you. You held me when I had nothing left, that's true. I stopped believing, but God, you held me. You never stopped holding me. I've heard it said that faith can move a mountain, but what about the faith too small to speak? What about the man who lost the fountain and sat in dust, too shattered and too weak? I couldn't manufacture what was gone. I couldn't force a flame from cold and stone. But you don't ask for fire that isn't there. You only ask for honesty and air. And in the dark, when I had stopped pretending, when all the religious armor had been shed, I found you not in triumph or ascending, but in the honest language of my dread. You were the God who needed my performance. You were the God who left when faith ran dry. You were the God who stayed through my abandonment and helped me through each hollow, faithless night. This is the grace I never thought was real, that you don't leave when leaving would seem right, that you would hold a man who cannot feel and carry him through his most faithless night. I stopped believing, lost the words to pray. I stopped the fighting, let my fire fade away. I had no faith left, nothing left to give, no reason left to call on you or live. But you held me when I couldn't hold to you. You held me when I had nothing left, that's true. I stopped believing, but God, you held me. You never stopped holding me. I thought faith was something I maintained, a fire I had to tend or it would die. But you were burning even when I'd waned, a sun that didn't need my open eyes. You held me in my doubt, you held me in my shame. You held me when I couldn't speak your name. You held me when religion turned to ash. You held me when my certainty had passed. You held me in the silence and the cold. You held me when my story felt too old. You held me when I said I don't believe. You held me. That's the grace I can't conceive. So here I am with nothing but the truth. No practice prayer, no armor, no excuse. Just a man who stopped and found that you were holding him the whole way through. I didn't find you at the end of faith, I found you in the middle of its death. You were there before the first and after last, holding every future, present, past. holding me. You never stop.